Oh god, this isn't gonna earn me any fans. Hey everybody, Alex the Critic here, and welcome to yet another installment of Your Theme Song Sucks.
I can't watch this. TV makes me so bored, makes me say, oh my lord, what is this garbage here? Wanna cover my eyes and plug my ears. It sucks, and that's no lie. It's about as much fun as watching paint dry. Lowers my IQ one notch, and that's the reason why I can't watch.
So the other day, I was watching a video made by a retro video game reviewer named Jason Graves that was about him reviewing a buttload of games that he bought and or pirated for his Philips CDI. One of the games he reviewed was a point-and-click adventure title starring characters from the classic Hanna-Barbera shows The Flintstones and the Jetsons. During that segment, he went on an interesting little rant about those two shows.
I learned looking at Wikipedia that the Jetsons, when it first aired, was considered a horrible failure and canceled after one season, which, when I think about it, makes sense, because it is just so much lamer than the Flintstones. And I don't really know why, because retrofuturism is so much cooler than fake caveman times. I've always thought that was a really lame aesthetic.
Now, when I first heard him say this, I was offended. I was like, oh, come on, Jason. The Jetsons aged just as well as the Flintstones did. Heck, even its theme song is just as good. Now see, that's what I initially thought. But then I actually watched the theme song for the Jetsons and, well, here we are. Before I can forever ruin my standing within the wider cartoon reviewing community, however, let me delve into what the show actually is first. The Jetsons is a retro-futuristic animated sitcom centered around the misadventures of George Jetson, who is the head of the titular Jetson family. Created by two all-time legends of television animation, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, the show was produced by their animation company, and debuted on September 23, 1962. It lasted for 24 episodes before getting canned due to its low ratings, with the series being relegated to Saturday morning reruns until 1985. When Hanna-Barbera decided to produce 2 new seasons worth of episodes, specifically so they could be aired on television ad infinitum. After those seasons were done and dusted, the studio adapted the series into a couple of specials and even a feature film, before eventually letting it fade back into Saturday morning irrelevancy. That is until 2017, when Warner Bros. Animation, the company that currently owns all of Hanna-Barbera's intellectual properties, decided to give it a wrestling special? Alright, I'm putting that on the docket for things that I might review in a future video, because that is too weird to not be interesting. If anything, this is even more weird than the fact that they made a wrestling-themed sequel to Surf's Up. Like, who at WWE is commissioning all of these niche crossovers? Well, whatever, we're getting off topic. Let's move on to the main event. Alright, stop. We are barely 10 seconds into the opening, and already we have a problem. Can you guys guess what it is? That's right, nothing is happening. The theme song opens on an establishing shot of outer space, but it's not even a cool shot of outer space with neat visual effects or cosmological gags. It's just a series of static photos that we fade through before the Earth comes into view. We don't even get an appealing photo of Earth. This one looks like it was finger painted by a retarded monkey. There were so many better ways to establish the show's retro-futuristic setting, and yet they chose to do this?
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Oh, but this isn't even the worst part. No, the worst part is the stupid-ass transition that they use immediately afterwards. First off, what the hell am I even supposed to be looking at? What do all of these random shapes and objects symbolize? Supernovas? Comets? Static? Meteors?
You know, now that I'm squinting harder at this, I'm realizing that one of the shapes looks like the Iron Cross of the German army. Is this image gonna get my channel banned? Another shape looks like a road being pointed to by an arrow, which I guess is supposed to symbolize that we're in an advanced time period far exceeding our own? It's not even a good transition, because for one, it doesn't fill up the whole screen, and for two, the animators don't even treat it as one, choosing instead to crossfade us into an establishing shot of Orbit City. This is then followed up by a scene of George and his family riding in a hover car.
That's right. We went through the lamest footage of outer space ever drawn just to get to a shot of our main character driving a hover car.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
Alright, to be fair, having the hover car appear from behind the house in the background and seamlessly swerving closer to the camera is a pretty neat visual, as is the car rocking back and forth in this shot before careening towards the camera. Also, showing the family driving a hover car past domed houses that are suspended in the air by metal rods which are planted in whatever these discs are made out of, does display the level of technology that this society has reached, which goes a long way towards establishing the show's setting.
But none of this answers the underlying question that every theme song needs to answer, which is thus, what does this actually teach us about the show's story? Your show can have the coolest setting in the world, but if you can't write characters or conflicts that can truly take advantage of it, nobody is going to be interested in it, as indicated by the fact that this show was a commercial and critical failure when it premiered. Let me truly drive home just how lazy this opening is by contrasting it with the first few seconds of the opening for the Flintstones. See, within the same amount of time, we're already given so much more information about the show.
Firstly, we open where Fred, our titular character, actually works. Not only this, but we also see what exactly he does at his job and who specifically he works for. We get to see how Fred feels about his job, as he hollers in excitement when his boss rings the whistle that signals the end of his workday. We get to see some of the prehistoric technology and buildings that make Bedrock the unique location it is, and we even get to see Fred pick up his daughter Pebbles on their way to the movie theater. You wanna know what else elevates this theme song above the one for the Jetsons? The fact that we get actual lyrics that are not only clever, but teach us more about the kind of show we'll be watching. I mean, a page right out of history? A modern Stone Age family? You could not write lyrics that are more colorful or catchy than these, and they perfectly explain the main draw of the show, which is prehistoric people dealing with modern suburban problems. Meanwhile, the only thing that's holding up the theme song for the Jetsons is the backing instrumental, which is good, but is nowhere near as memorable as the Flintstones' theme song.
Oh, but Alex, the Jetsons has lyrics in its theme song too. Ah yes, where would we be without stunning lyricism like this?
Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy. Daughter Judy. Jane, his wife.
Amazing. Truly spectacular. These guys could give the Beach Boys a run for their money. There is nothing more annoying in a theme song than when its lyrics only teach you the most basic and surface level details about the show's story and characters.
The main character's name is George Jetson, and here are the ties he has to other characters.
Like, I appreciate the information, but it's functionally meaningless. If I'm introducing myself to you, and I tell you that I'm a Hispanic YouTuber, then have I really told you anything about me? The answer, obviously, is no, because my ethnicity and hobbies tell you nothing about who I am. So why did the songwriters of this theme song think they do?
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck. Oh my.
And guess what? That's it as far as the lyrics are concerned. Yep, those are the only words that are sung throughout the whole theme song. Talk about giving the fuck up. The Flintstones get the catchphrases, the idioms, and all of the wordplay, while the Jetsons get a glorified Wikipedia article summary. I mean, come on! Were the songwriters getting paid by the word? What the hell happened here? I would be more forgiving towards the lyrics if the visuals were doing any sort of heavy lifting, but we don't get much out of them either.
Ideally, this would be the part of the opening where animators would showcase what makes each of the characters distinct from one another. And, I mean, to an extent they do. We get to see George drop his children off at school, but again, that's it as far as unique attributes go. Unless you want to count Judy being affectionate towards her father, but that's not much to go off of. Hell, even the schools they go to look strikingly similar to one another, and don't have anything visually outstanding about them. Why are schools even functionally the same in the far-off future anyways? I mean, the transportation is different, so why can't our educational system be? The only character we get any real insight to is Jane, who is shown stealing money from her husband so she can go on vain shopping sprees.
Wow, you wrote a real winner there, writers. What would George have done if he got pulled over by the police? Alright, so thus far, we haven't learned anything about these characters that would help differentiate them from any other sitcom family, and what little we do learn makes them utterly unlikable. My god, the animators couldn't even show off the retro-futuristic setting in a cool way. Really, the only part of this theme song that's been well executed is the backing music.
The orchestral composition by industry legend Hoyt Curtin, the same man who composed the soundtracks to most of Hanna-Barbera's cartoons, and who was a respected jazz musician in his own right, does a fantastic job getting you pumped up for the show by opening with a frantic percussive riff, which is then followed up by a blistering violin solo that makes you feel like you're riding in a hovercar yourself. Finally, the opening melody culminates in a bombastic trumpet and saxophone break that gives the random shapes in our visual transition more weight than the animation does. Then, in the scene where we're first introduced to George and his family, Hoyt made sure to use unique instruments to give each individual character little musical stings that help them stand out.
Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy. Daughter Judy.
My absolute favorite of these breaks is the little piano piece that he gives Jane.
Jane, his wife.
It manages to sound both cheesy and classy, which perfectly suits Jane's character. Although, does anybody else notice that it sounds strikingly similar to Chopsticks? Huh, that's interesting. Anyways, Hoyt Curtin is the GOAT, and he's been the only thing keeping this theme song from being absolute garbage. If you don't believe me, then just get a load of this ending. Yeah. Why bother giving us any meaningful information about George as a character when you can just show him arriving at work and laying back at his desk? This opening is truly setting the standard for visual storytelling.
Alright, in the interest of total fairness, there's a few neat visuals we get at the end of this opening. Seeing George turn his giant, sleek hover car into a standard briefcase with the push of a button is an iconic demonstration of this universe's advanced technology, as are the little television sticks that people on the conveyor belt in the background are communicating with. Keep in mind, we didn't have video calls or even mobile telephones back when the Jetsons premiered, so seeing the animators at Hanna-Barbera give their take on what technological feats we would accomplish is quite fun and impressive. You could also argue that George reclining on his desk the way he does is supposed to convey the idea that no matter how advanced our societies become, us human beings will always behave the same. Ergo, we do technically get a glimpse into what the show is about.
However, those few bright spots are not enough to save this opening from being a giant dumpster fire.
If I haven't hammered home the point enough yet, let me repeat it one more time. What exactly does this closing sequence teach us about George's character? What has this entire opening taught us about George's character? That he has a job, a family, and that he's responsible for getting his family where they need to go? Congratulations! You've described 99.9% of all cartoon characters known to man. Fuck, even the place he works at doesn't look all that interesting. An empty, sterile room with nondescript machinery on the wall and almost no furniture? I think I'd kill myself if I were forced to work here 5 days a week. And this is supposed to get me hyped to watch this show?
You serious?
I really hate to say this about such an iconic show from a legendary studio, but Your theme song sucks. I'm Alex the Critic, and I'll see you guys next time.